Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of TechTalk 360, where we unveil one bite at a time. Today, we have a very special guest, who is none other than Amitha Amarasinghe, a digital strategist who transformed 100 plus brands and is also the co founder and CEO of APIDM. Good afternoon, Mr. Amitha. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Rasal, and thank you very much for having me here. And it's absolutely a pleasure to be a part of your podcast.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, we can give a great message to the viewers out here today.
Yeah, looking
So
forward for it.
let's start off. Who is Amitha Amarasinghe? Let's start it from there.
Right. Well, okay. So for that question, Rasal, when someone asks that, I usually answer this from two perspectives. Like I'll start from the professional perspective. From a professional perspective, I identify myself as a marketer first, even though in your introduction also you introduced me as a digital marketing industry professional. But before becoming a digital marketing professional, I'm a marketer because even digital is just a subset of marketing. Now, as an individual, as a normal person, I look at myself as a curious explorer. So I would want to explore everything new. I'm curious, and especially about technology, the new things, the evolution of technology and all that. So I'm always looking for these new things. That's type of a personality that I am. And I'm a marketing management graduate, a bachelor's graduate from the University of Sri Jadanapura, and I have my MBA from Postgraduate Institute of Management, and I've completed. I'm completing 20 years in digital marketing this year.
Congratulations.
Yes, that's about me. Yeah.
So if I ask a small cross question on that, how did you get into this digital marketing career?
Well, okay. So that's an interesting coincidence as well, but like I felt like, okay, it was meant to happen. I told you that I completed my degree in marketing management at the University of Sri Jadanapura, and in the final year we were supposed to do this internship, and I joined one of the largest conglomerate companies in Sri Lanka as a trainee, as an intern. And they actually, after my 6 months training, they made me permanent there, and I had a kind of like a good career path ahead of me in traditional marketing. This is like back in 2002, 2003. And what happened was, one of my colleagues, who happened to be my co-founder of APIDM, Suranga, he got a chance to work for this company called roomsnet.com, which is a tech startup online travel agency company. Back then, he started before me in that company, and after like finishing about like 6 months in this company, in one day actually, when we met, like he pitched it to me, Amitha, look, now this company, I know you that you are very much interested in tech and internet and all that. So this company is the ideal fit for you. Like if you are interested, I can talk to my bosses, and there are some vacancies. I can arrange a placement for you. And I said, okay, why not give it a try? And then I said, okay, and I went for an interview, and luckily I actually got through the interview, and they recruited me as an e-commerce executive at this previously unknown company. Now, I told you that I started in a well-established, financially established conglomerate company, and I left that job after 2 years, 1.5 years, and joined this startup company in online travel agency business in 2004 as an e-commerce executive. So that was kind of like the start. And since then, I kind of like treated that as my second university. Like everything I knew back then in about like e-marketing, we used to call it as e-marketing, digital marketing, social media marketing. I learned it at RoomsNet, and I spent there for 6 years. That was kind of like a university for me to learn all the new things. And by the time I was leaving that company, I was one of the the most experienced digital marketers in Sri Lanka. That's how I actually got started there.
Interesting, John. Does room next still exist, or is it like?
Not really. Actually, this company, we actually served the UK outbound travelers to rest of the world, even though the founder is Sri Lankan and the development team was based in Sri Lanka and all that.
Oh,
During the economic crisis, 2008, 2009, that credit crunch period, the market travel industry got affected heavily, and this company also got
oh, right, right.
affected. And with that, actually,
Yeah,
the scam company came kind of like a slow winding down. But like when it was at its peak, they were like performing really well, and there were like a lot of real, innovative tech which was developed by the in-house engineers, Sri Lankan engineers, which
oh,
were kind of like futuristic at that time. We were developing systems for rule-based email marketing, and kind of like the modern day retargeting sometimes. I mean, if you visit the website and looked at certain products, like in a couple of hours, you'll receive an email, a personalized email in your inbox. Now, this is like 2006, 2007 I'm talking about. It was an amazing team to work with, and I gained a lot of experience and all that. And so I moved on in 2010, taking my next challenge.
that actually laid the perfect foundation for what we can start. So the next question is, Amita, so if I ask now, you have been in this industry and well experienced. So where does the future of brands actually stand with the strategies and digital innovations? How do they actually stand out of the box? These days it's very competitive market, and different people use different strategies. So and also, I can include with the growth of AI technologies. How can they actually stand out of the box and think out of the box and be creative, if I say it like that?
Awesome. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, a great question, Rasal. Now, I mean, you mentioned it in your question itself. Like, we are kind of like in a very, very interesting times of history. It's kind of like an important juncture in the entire, fourth industrial revolution and all that, right? Now, when you are in such a important juncture of history, you have to you are kind of like in a mode where you have to sit back and watch what's happening. At the same time, you have to take action, or you have to move forward as well. This is kind of like an analogy that I can give when you are flying in an aeroplane. When the aeroplane is gaining elevation, the captain or the pilot make an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we are now elevating to 35,000 feet or whatever, and remain seated and have your seat belts tightened up. Once the plane is at 35,000 feet and the captain relaxes the passengers from moving around and all that. Now, this is kind of like a similar situation when it comes to using AI technologies in business. Now, I compare this with two other points of history in the recent, like last 30 years, like late 1990s. That was kind of like the first revolution in terms of internet. Now, what happened there was when the internet was booming, and companies, the businesses, they didn't know which way this will go. I mean, some people were skeptical about it, and some people were really optimistic about it. But you had to observe where things are going. But in like 2-3 years, things settle down. When things settle down, the companies who adapted it early and experimented early start breaking away from rest of the companies and get established. Like Amazon.com is the best example, which actually, and even Google, the companies which broke away from the pack, they started early in the internet revolution, and then they broke away from the pack when the boom started to happen. Same way, like social media boom somewhere in 2008, 2009. that was kind of like a volatile period. You have to experiment, sit back and observe. And in 3 years, like 2011, 2012, social media was growing, and the ones who actually adapted early was reaping the benefit. Now, today, we are in 2023 recording this podcast, 2024,
2024.
yeah, recording this podcast. And we are kind of like in a similar era in terms of, using AI. Now, in 3 years from now, things will settle down. When things settle down, which companies will excel or break the pack? Those are going to be the companies who are experimenting today and working with AI and technologies today. Now, to excel when things settle down, I have few pointers to any business owner or a entrepreneur. First one is, you have to develop a culture that appreciates innovation. Now, culture is the thing. It's not going to change, right? I mean, it's not going to change because of AI. Even in an AI era, your organization's culture is going to be the key. And that culture has to be a one which appreciates innovation and technology. Like, if you are a culture which discourage innovation or always suspect technology as an evil thing, you are not going to excel in 3 years.
Yeah.
So you are going to go in the downward direction. So therefore, to build the right culture, first you need to invest in people who believe in technology. If the people inside your organization doesn't believe in technology, you can't make use of technology. The first thing is build a team, build a culture who believes in technology and innovation, and then go out and invest in technology tools.
Yeah.
What happens most of the time is the leader is so enthusiastic, the CEO or the founder of the company so enthusiastic, and the leader goes out and invests in technology tools and everything, but the people doesn't know how to use the technology, and they will resist the technology if you don't have the culture. So these are the things that will set apart average companies from the companies who will excel in the AI revolution. Because one thing, I mean, to conclude my answer, that
Yeah.
technology will be accessible for everyone equally. Now, I'll tell you one example. Like, we've been building a chatbot for my company to support students and all that. Now, like, when we started building this, we were thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a great competitive advantage for us and all that, right? So in few weeks, we realized that there are plenty of similar technologies around the world already, that anyone with the right knowledge and decent amount of resources can acquire this technology. Technology is not going to be a competitive advantage. It's going to be accessible to everyone, all your competitors. Therefore, your competitive advantage will remain to be your people. The people who's having the right mindset, right attitude to adapt technology in a positive manner. So that's my advice for any company who would want to break away from the pack when AI revolution comes to its peak.
Perfect answer. I also didn't expect that answer to come actually. So, moving on with that, with the AI technology. So, are there specific industries or types of businesses that you find particularly receptive or challenging when it comes to use of this AI and how they adapt using AI?
Yeah, Rasal. Now, one thing that I noticed already is that service-based industries are going to be the most receptive among rest of the company in terms of adapting to AI technologies fast. The reason is one of the biggest challenges for service-based companies used to be maintaining the same service quality standards. The reason is, the service is delivered by people, and maintaining the same quality standards among multiple people, it's challenging. For example, you take a telco company who is managing a customer care center, call support agents. One call support agent to another call support agent, the capacity is different, attitudes are different. So the way they approach people, it's going to be different. So when I call the customer support number, imagine that I get to John, who is a well-trained, good customer support agent with a good attitude and all that, and he will serve me really well and I'll be really happy. And you will be calling the same hotline and you will be put to, let's say, Jason, some other agent who doesn't have the same attitude, might be going through some personal life problem and all that, and he responds to you in a very negative way, and your experience is going to be bad and you are going to blame it on the company. Now, this had been a challenge for service-based companies like, telcos, banks, insurance companies, you name it, right? Now, with the AI technologies, especially these, large language models like ChatGPT and all coming in, now you can standardize your service delivery through, you can automate a lot of things using chatbots, and at the same time, you can make your, the service knowledge base available for all agents equally. Like imagine this is a customer support call where you are calling me to get some service support for a banking product or something. As the call center agent, I can just have my ChatGPT similar, tool on my screen. For whatever the questions that you are asking, it'll automatically create a prompt to my tool, and it'll actually suggest me the type of answer that I have to give you. So then, of course, at another level, you can completely get rid of the agent and get the bot to respond to you directly. So let's not go there. But at an intermediary level, what can happen is the AI technology can help the service delivery agent to be better knowledgeable. So through that, you can actually bring the service quality levels to similar standards. So as I said, the service industries are going to be really receptive, and they are going to adapt it fast. And education industry is going to be really challenged. What happens is, like, at the rate of growth of knowledge base in every field, it'll become it's going to be a waste of time to spend 4 years in university. Right? You can access the knowledge through various different things. So what happens is the industries like education will have to focus on what they do. So the educational institutes, universities, they'll have to ask the question, what are we doing? Are we giving qualifications, or are we making people more competent? Obviously, you have to shift towards your mission as you are making people more competent. It's not like giving, accreditations and qualifications, which is not going to matter anymore in future, because most of this knowledge is going to be anyway freely accessible through these tools, right? So just a certificate is, it doesn't matter anything. But making people really competent, that's going to be the challenge or the objective of the education industry. That's going to be an industry that I see going to be really challenged. I mentioned this in one of my LinkedIn posts as well. Like, if you look at the way AI works, machines learn to solve problems, right? So that's how the engineers are training these AI algorithms. But humans, over last 100 years or so, we are being trained to learn to pass exams. Now, you know where this is going. If we continue to learn to just pass exams and get certificates, at one point, machines are going to kill us. Kill us in the sense they are going to defeat us, right? Because they are learning to solve problems, which is the original objective of human learning as well. But we have forgot that. We have forgot that we are studying, we are learning to improve our knowledge and skills to solve problems. It's not to take a certificate. It's not to take a graduation or whatever, to solve problems, right? So unless the education industry look at it from that angle, so they are going to be in deep trouble, great trouble, because nobody would want just a certificate or accreditation anymore, because it doesn't mean it's not going to mean anything in like 10 years from now.
All that actually matters is the skills that you take on from whatever you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Amitha, you have worked with a lot of students and you have trained a lot of students and also mentored people. So, if we take that experience from you, and if I ask you this question, so what are the essential skills and knowledge areas that you emphasize when educating the youth and especially individuals about this industry, the digital marketing industry, and also with using the new tech like we mentioned earlier, ChatGPT. So what are some of the areas that you tell them to focus on, like for the students?
Right. Now, talking about like different skills to acquire for our students or the younger generation. Now, one thing is the most vulnerable set of skills because of technology or AI are going to be the technical skills. Technical skills are going to be commoditized in one way, and at the same time, technical skills are the ones that can be easily replicated by an AI. So what I mean as a technical skill is a skill that is repetitive and it repeats the same steps all the time. And at the same time, it's a skill that you can easily teach another human being. Now, for example, when a new employee joins a company, there is a certain knowledge transfer or training process, and then there are like certain processes like documentation and letter writing and all that. Like these are being trained by senior employees to the junior employees very easily. Now, if a certain skill can be trained to another human being very easily, that can be trained to a AI algorithm as well. So such skills now, I mean, in my industry, for example, digital marketing industry, for example, managing meta ads, managing Google ads, search engine ads, and all that, those are very much, technical skills. If you follow a certain set of rules, you can very easily acquire that skill. So that type of things will be easily transferred to AI. What cannot be replicated using AI would be skills, human skills, such as critical thinking and creative problem solving. Now, a lot of the most advanced AI algorithms are still struggling for critical thinking and creative problem solving. Now, the moment I use the word creative, people might misunderstand this with creativity, right? I'm not talking about creativity in the sense of, writing poems, writing novels, and, drawing artworks and all that. So I'm talking about creative thinking to solve problems. Now, if you ask me, a tool like ChatGPT can be used for creative problem solving. It can be used for critical thinking. Listen very carefully, because if you just listen to that part, it will be a complete misinformation, right? A tool like ChatGPT can be used for critical thinking and creative problem solving, but a human with the creative thinking and a critical thinking and creative problem solving skill must be guiding ChatGPT for that, right? Now, at APIDM, we have this one program, Generative AI for Modern Marketing. There we teach the class about how you can guide ChatGPT to think critically and solve
like
problems.
using the correct prompts and stuff like that.
Absolutely, right? So to get to the right prompt, you have to have a great brain. Right. So if you know how to get to the right prompt and do that. Now, for example, in our class, we teach the students something called the perpetual loop prompt. Now, the perpetual loop prompt will get the ChatGPT to solve a problem by interacting with you as a brainstorming partner, right? And it'll open up your thinking to areas where you have never thought about. Now, these are the type of skills that everyone needs to focus on. And the other skill that I would recommend for the younger generation to focus on is there's something coming up as no code development. I'm sure you'd have heard about this. Now, no code, it's kind of like a software development approach that requires either few or zero programming skills, where you can quickly build an application using various different logics, visual interfaces, and all that. Now, this is becoming because this doesn't mean that software engineers are going to lose job, right? So they will exist. What happens is, average people like me coming from business or marketing field will be able to create our own applications, not knowing any programming language. This is how I look at this is like, professional photography versus mobile photography. Now today I can take photographs using my smartphone without having to do a photography diploma. But for you to use a professional camera, you have to study it, and you have to know that, right? Both things exist. There are professional photographers, and we also take photographs using our smartphones. Same way, the no-code development will be for the layman like us, whereas because somebody needs to develop the no-code application as well, right? For that, you need the developers, the programmers. And they won't lose their job. They will have their job secured, but average individuals will need to upskill themselves for these new concepts like no-code development.
Yeah, that's actually something, a new skill that we should look for in the future, which will be, I think, game-changing. So, Amit, if I just step into the entrepreneur side and the business industry, so we always speak about KPIs, key performance indicators. So, what key performance indicators are crucial for measuring, the success of digital marketing initiatives and businesses? What do you think about that?
Right. Okay. So, Rasal, not only for digital marketing in any area, I don't think there is a one size fit all KPI to measure. Like that depends a lot on what you want to achieve. Like
the goal.
You have to first, absolutely, you have to decide your goal, and then you have to pick on your KPIs. Now, instead of suggesting our audience KPIs to watch, let me actually show them how you can pick the right KPIs for your digital marketing efforts. The first thing is you have to map out your entire customer decision-making journey. There are plenty of customer journey mapping models available, and then there are tools that you can visualize the customer decision-making journey from awareness to final purchase and loyalty and advocacy and everything. So once you map out that, then you need to decide at which points of this journey that you want to influence your customers' behavior. Is it at the consideration stage where your customer is comparing your product versus your competitors' products? Do you want to shift their opinion more towards your brand? So likewise, at which point that you are going to influence your customer. So once you pick that, then you can decide what to measure at that particular point. Now, for example, like in that example I gave, like in the consideration stage, now you have identified, okay, my customer is now comparing my product versus the competitors' products. looking at the reviews and asking for opinion and all that. Now you want to kind of like shift their focus towards your brand. Now, one of the KPIs that you can measure at that point is your review rating on Google or your Trustpilot review. That could be a KPI. Now, if you have a 4.5 or above Google reviews rating or a Trustpilot review rating, that means at the consideration stage, your customers are going to give you more credit compared to your competitors. So that's a KPI to measure that. So likewise, at each stage, identify what's going to be the most important place. And the other thing is, do not be over obsessed with too many KPIs. This is a mistake a lot of the businesses are doing. Focus, I mean, in growth marketing, we talk about one metric that matters. You have to have one metric that matters, and you are going to measure that, like the most important thing. So you have to come up with maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 different KPIs, and then keep monitoring that. What happens is, like, if you try to measure too many KPIs, then you are going to spend a lot of time doing the calculations and tracking and all that. That time can be invested in something much more productive than, spent on analysis and all that.
Yeah, that's something that the small startups, and they can keep an eye on, using KPIs, and they can drive their growth.
Absolutely.
So the next question I have is something really interesting. I also wanted to ask about. I've been following you on LinkedIn, and it's been there. So let's just talk about the story behind APIDM and where this actually began. I also wanted to know personally, and actually what does this does to fuel the youth, and what type of the graduates that come out of APIDM, and how does the success stories begin?
Right. Brilliant. Okay. So actually, Razal, the company, the institute was founded in 2009 by our first founder, Suranga, my university batchmate, and my colleague at RoomsNet, and a good friend. And he actually started this company as a institute to do like training workshops. This was back in 2009. And after about a very, low few years, somewhere in like 2013-14, we relaunched this in 2015 with a formal setup and all that. And in 2018, we renamed this as the Asia Pacific Institute of Digital Marketing. Earlier, it was known as E-Business Academy, EBA, but we renamed it as Asia Pacific Institute of Digital Marketing in 2018 with kind of like a vision to be the, competency builder for the digital economy in the Asia and Pacific region. Now, one thing about APIDM is, like, from the very beginning, our focus is on developing practical skills. Now we are very much focused on, if a student joins one of our programs, we want to make sure that that person leaves our program with real, tangible, executable, hands-on skill. It's not just giving them just the theory and asking them to sit for an exam and giving them a certificate. That's not something that we believe in. Something that we tell all our students is, you are the benchmark, right? Like, when you go out to the industry and when you start working, you set the benchmark of digital marketing competency. It's not us. It's not the institute. Like, institute's benchmark is set by the people who go out from the institute and do their actual job, right? So that's something that we truly believe in now. Like, I don't want to name any companies or individuals, but like, if you look at like in some of the most famous digital agencies in Sri Lanka and some of the most famous service sector companies in Sri Lanka, the people who are leading the digital marketing function are products. I wouldn't say products, the past students of APIDM, some people who transform their careers from traditional marketing to digital marketing after going through our programs. And for the youth especially, we recently launched, just last year, we launched this 1-year diploma program, which is the diploma in digital driven marketing, which is designed exclusively for school leavers and early undergraduates. It's a 1-year program where we teach them not just digital marketing, it's digital driven marketing. While focusing a lot on digital aspects of marketing, we teach them the basics of marketing as well. It's a 1-year program which includes a soft skill development program, a Toastmasters program to improve their presentation skills and public speaking skills and all that, and a lot of technical sessions on digital marketing. They'll get to know how to create a website using WordPress and how to do search engine optimization for that website. So everything is taught in the 1-year period. And when they graduate from this diploma program, we give them a guarantee that you are employability ready. You are ready to be employed. Now, our very first batch, we only had 13 students, the inaugural batch. I mean, we are very proudly saying that. It's a small batch, but we are very proudly saying that the first batch, we had like just 13 students, and we haven't even completed that program yet, but like 2 students I met like a couple of weeks ago, and they have already found employment while studying. They have already found employment, and we are starting another batch in March, this month, end of this month. And for that also, we already got like about 20-25 students enrolled, and there are like seats available. These are like in-person programs. Not this program is in person, conducted at APIDM premises in Havelock Town. So that's something that APIDM is doing for youth, to creating a great opportunity to start a career in digital marketing.
Great initiative. I think if any of the listeners are interested in joining the programs, I can just Anita can send me the link. We can just put it down on the description, and they can get more info on that.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the last 2 questions. So we spoke about following the youth, and you spoke about how to be innovative. So in this digital landscape, it keeps on growing. Something adds up every day. How do you
Yes.
encourage, the youth to be more innovative and, be creative? Like we mentioned earlier, not just putting into ChatGPT and getting it out. How do you encourage the youth, especially the people who are just passing out school and entering into the university, for people like that?
Yeah, I mean, you use the right word. I mean, innovation, and we have to accept that innovation is the only way one can survive in the future with this rate of technology evolving. And for the youth, there are plenty of resources accessible for you all to learn and experiment. Now, I mean, I might sound like a typical, Generation Xer who actually talk about Gen Zers and millennials, but I have to say that, like, I mean, like, we didn't have this much of access in our teenage years or our early 20s years. Now, Russell, for example, in my university age, at my university, we only had 2 computers connected to the internet. I'm talking about, this is like late 1990s and early 2000s. Just 2 computers connected to the internet, and to access that, you have to book 1 hour slot, writing down on a book, and go there and access internet. So that's there. Now today, the accessibility is in your fingertips with your smartphones, always connected to the net and all that. So I mean, you can imagine the things that you can do today versus what we could have done in our teenage years or early 20s years, right? So that's why I urge the Gen Zers and Gen Alphas to, I won't say stop, I'd ask you to reduce wasting time on, meaningless meme websites and watching comedic videos and all that. The time that you spend on internet for useless arguments with people and all that, make YouTube your university. On YouTube
Yeah.
itself, there are plenty of new things that you can learn. I mean, I always take this example of Julius Yego, the Kenyan javelin throw champion, who won an Olympic medal by training himself by looking at YouTube videos. So that case study is on YouTube itself. You can actually check. He used to be the Kenyan national champion a few years ago, won an Olympic medal, and he trained himself by watching YouTube videos. Now, if you can win an Olympic medal by training yourself watching YouTube videos, there's nothing that you can't do, right? So that's my message to the youth. Make it your university and access these
That's
resources in a meaningful way.
actually that's a good point because I myself I don't have any degrees related to digital marketing, but it's always been the Coursera, YouTube, and all those, self-learning, which actually when you self-learn, you get something actually out of it. When you spend like more than 1 week, you get it into the brain and you can actually get
Absolutely.
something out of it. We have
Yes.
come to the last question of the podcast, Amita. This is actually this question I've been asking continuously from the first episode to the current episode. We know where Sri Lanka is. We are facing ups and downs. We have faced economic crisis and whatnot. And people are leaving. My friends are leaving. Batchmates are leaving to other countries to seek employment. But I always know that something is happening here, and we should last here to give to the society. So, one final thing that you have to say for Sri Lanka and the youth of Sri Lanka.
Right. Okay, so I'll start with the point about the migration trend and all that, right? So for that, my general answer is, if you are strong and if you have the the competency to survive anywhere, you will succeed in Sri Lanka or elsewhere. Wherever you go, you will succeed. But if you are not strong in your attitudes, in your competencies, your endurance, escape in Sri Lanka will not take you anywhere, right? I mean, so if it the location doesn't matter. It's just your attitude, right?
Attitude. Yeah.
So in that note, like for the younger generation, the the Gen Zers and Gen Alphas who are watching or listening to this, my first request is be open and receptive to criticism. Now, this is a criticism against your generation, that you are not open for criticism, and so you always tend to think that, okay, we know everything. And I mean, it's not only your generation. Even when we were at your age, our parents would have told us the same thing, right? It's not about your generation, it's just the age, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, looking back, passing that age, right now, I can tell you that being open-minded and receptive towards criticism is one of the best things that you can do in order to gain, right? Now, for example, like I've seen this like in many online forums or social media discussion, that sometimes these Gen Zers are thinking that because they are Gen Zers, they were born with the devices and all that, they are by default, they know everything about digital marketing. There's this mentality that, okay, the older generations, they don't know about these things, and we are the tech natives, we know everything. So I've seen this, right? But the truth is, there are things that you can still learn from other people, especially the wisdom, the experience, right? Knowing how to operate a tech tool doesn't mean that you are an expert in that. Like, I mean, you need certain other, human elements to do that. Because why I'm saying this is like, I mean, I don't want to name any person or companies or anything. Like I tried, I mean, when I notice certain things on social media, on LinkedIn and all that, like sometimes what I do is I actually go in their inbox and kind of like tell them, look, Puta, look, Malli, you shouldn't be doing this. This this is not good, this is not nice. So sometimes reciprocation or the response is really hostile, and they won't say anything negative to your face, but they go out and put some nasty comment somewhere else, passive aggression, right? Now this won't take you anywhere, right? Because it's the human wisdom that comes with age as well, right? So there is a certain value for that as well. So collaborating with your older generations to absorb as much as wisdom from your older generations and couple it with your native ability to move with technology, you are going to win if you can do that. So attitude is everything. So have that attitude to collaborate with your older generations, get their wisdom, couple it with your tech geekiness, knowledge, and then you will be on the right path to success. That will set you apart from rest of your competition.
Really good and positive and strong message to end our show. Once again, thank you very much, Amitha, for joining in for the podcast. It's been a pleasure, and getting some experience from you to our show has been just amazing. I'm wishing you all the best with everything that you do and the future. Just share some small words about the podcast as well.
Sure. Thank you very much, Rasal, and for having me and inviting me. And it was quite an experience. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I believe the audience will benefit from what I shared. And anyone who would want to connect with me, LinkedIn is the best place. You can just go to
I'll
LinkedIn and
just
search for Amitha Amarasinghe.
I'll just drop in the link in the description as
Yes,
well, so it will be easier for you to connect. Thank
absolutely.
you so much,
Right.
Mr.
Thank you very
Amitha.
much.
We'll see you
Yeah.
again.